That's fine.
Okay, I have a flight maybe real quick, so hold on one second.
Yeah, that's good. Perfect. That's because anything else won't get you over. Yeah, that's perfect. No, that's perfect. Because then I can drive from there. I gotta be there at 6 o'clock.
It's I'll get as close as possible to 6 o'clock. Okay. All right, can you guys hear me fine? Anything like that? Okay. All good. Okay. So when I lead off here, I'm going to go through the whole point of this, by the way, too. Just this is more for you guys than this for anything, is that there's a couple things going on right now in the company that are extremely important. Obviously the economy is not in the best place. In addition to that, a lot of the companies that are out there are not doing canvassing still. A lot of them divested from canvassing. One of the biggest ones out there is it has multiple states in actually multiple countries and completely divested from canvassing, so they would never do it again. And now they're starting up again. So you can see the power of canvassing and why it's so important. Just get these slides to work. There we go. All right. So one of the questions that I get asked a lot, not by people that are not by people that are looking to invest in canvassing, people that wonder why people don't, is why don't people invest in canvassing? Like what's wrong with them, essentially, And so one of the most important things that that I've noticed since coming to this job, I started in 2008, 2009, the economic crisis and the housing crisis. And the one thing that I noticed more than anything, in the beginning I was scared. I mean, everybody was petrified of doing home improvements. A lot of home improvement businesses were going down. And so, by the way, can you guys see the slides? I'm sorry. Because I can't see you guys. Typically I can. Okay. All right. So a lot of home improvements, a lot of home improvement companies were going under. And so people were scared. I was scared. I was scared going into the job. I thought that I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But looking back, what I realized is that canvassing is more adaptable than any other marketing campaign out there. It's stable. It's foundational. You can get companies like this started with just canvassing alone, because everything starts with the appointment. Everything starts with the lead. So consistency is something that we've been able to achieve in Central Pennsylvania with canvassing, and most of the companies around the country do as well that really invest in this. You can predict your exact lead results, which we'll go through in the next slide. And you're not going to have a lot of risk because you can go out there and target specific customers based on their need. It's efficient and cost effective. Even departments that struggle with this end up in a 14 to 15% cost of marketing range typically. When you're looking at average TV leads and direct mail leads that are near 20% cost of marketing, there's some lead sources out there that cost up to 40% cost of marketing. Canvassing does not lose money when it's done the right way. One thing that we've noticed in Central Pennsylvania is that, and we noticed this really through COVID, is that the remarketability is there. In 2021, we didn't canvass at all. And we still had, in 2020, we didn't canvass nearly at all. And we still had almost $15 million in canvassing sales because, we add so many names to the system that are to be called later. For example, last year we added 24,000 total names to the system on 14,000 leads booked. So we're able to put 10,000 names with phone in the system for the call center to reach out to. NPS score has been obviously an important focus of Renewal by Andersen for the last couple of years. NPS score, Net Promoter Score, gives you a total overall view of how your company's performing when it comes to customer service. Our NPS score at Renewal by Andersen is very important to us, and obviously most of our companies have very good NPS scores. Our canvassers, if they do the right thing, drive a positive NPS score. Customer feedback is extremely important. We take it extremely seriously, and if the canvassers do the right thing, then it gives us more business. We have repeat business. One thing that we've noticed about our canvassing is that when we go out and re-knock neighborhoods that we've already gone to, if you have the right canvassers and the right system in there, then people are happy to see us. We get more customers that way. They've heard of us before. And so, this is something that when you implement in your business, it changes a lot. Now, that being said, it's a very important thing to manage. Obviously canvassing can bring customer complaints. And if those complaints aren't managed properly, then they can get really out of control. Negative reviews can happen, but as long as you're doing the right thing, then this is not something that you put yourself at risk to. And sales influence is something that we've focused on greatly as a company. 61289. We've had almost a dozen canvassers going to sales representative positions, and they've done fantastic. The results are amazing. One of the top guys last year and so far this year is a guy named Adam Chubb. Adam Chubb came to our company, worked in canvassing for about a year. Never would have gotten into a sales position with our company, never would have succeeded in a sales position in our company. And year to date, he is closing at a 48% close rate. And he's an FST now with the company. So he's helping other sales reps all around the company. All right, let me go next slide here. All right, this slide's not done, by the way, too. So I'm just going to say that there's a bunch of information that's missing from here, but it will be there. When it comes to consistency, like I mentioned before, I just want to go through some specific numbers because it's surprising and amazing. A lot of companies base their lead source on traditional lead sources, and it makes sense. Some companies that do canvassing, a lot of them are at a 15%. 15% of canvassing of their company's leads are canvassing leads. I'm gonna have to work on my language on that. 50% of their leads are canvassing leads. When you look at a company like ours, we've gone up to 60% before. But we usually teeter around the 40% range. This is very important to the consistency of our company. If you go look at any other lead source out there, doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you take a look at direct mail, for example, you'll be up 1 month and down 1 month and up 1 month and down 1 month. It's not consistent. You can't keep reps and installers and people happy and working in an environment like that. But what you can provide with canvassing is that level of consistency. If you look at last year's numbers, November of 2022, we issued 740 leads, and that was 42% of our total lead volume. In December, we issued 745, almost 50% of our lead volume. And that continued all the way through February. In March, we were 44% of our lead production. Obviously, March is a very productive month for a lot of lead sources. So we came in at 44%, but that trend's going to continue into April and into May. I can actually put April down there. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm glad that I'm running through this because it's the middle of May right now. And it says April 2023, 5/11/23. So it's all right. So this is the part that I get better. All right. So where do you find these people, right? If you're starting a canvassing department, where do you find these people and who are these people that you find? We'll go over where you find these people first. This is the less difficult part. I don't want to call it the less important part, but this is a part where people how do I put it? This is the part where you just need to invest. When you invest the money into it and you invest the time into it, the results will come. So diversifying your results and diversifying your portfolio is extremely important, especially when it comes to recruiting. Indeed.com has been foundational for us, especially the last couple of years. When I started, Craigslist was the place to go, but that's dead now. I would never post something to Craigslist. Not a job anyways. I'm not going to say that. I was going to say something much worse, but now I'm trying to realize I'm not going to say that when I'm in front of these people here. So social media is really important. We don't use social media enough, but you can use video campaigns. You can use social ads. Another thing that you can do too that we do enjoy doing because it's free and free is good. So going into specific groups like the Carlisle Yard Sale group, for example, you have 47,000 people in this group. You can post there. Okay, now sometimes they'll take the post down, but you can post there and get in front of those people quickly with your job for nothing. And so it's a great way to be able to get that, to fill the gaps, to get those, to get those margins and another 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 results from things like that. It's worth going into. And if you're looking to target specific communities as well, this is a great way to do it. So if you want to reach out to a specific group of people, then you can find groups pretty much for anything in Facebook groups. And you can go on and find those people. Same thing goes for installers and things like that. Unemployment offices, I mean, every state's different. The Pennsylvania unemployment office is not as welcoming and helpful as the Massachusetts unemployment office was. But unemployment offices usually run job fairs. They usually allow you to come in and speak with candidates inside of their facilities. So it's a great way to be able to start looking for people. That being said, one of the most important things that you can do, and I learned this from a guy named Buck out in the Colorado office years ago, is drive referrals. You should expect people to bring people in. I mean, think about the candidates that we're hiring here. If your average canvasser's age is, in this mid-30s and whatnot, then yeah, which not many departments have that. But their friends are going to be well established. A lot of times, when you're hiring 20 and 25-year-olds, their friends are not well established. These are kids that are getting out of college, in some cases out of high school. And so it's easy to be able to identify and find referrals for them. They can just simply talk to their friends group. If they put something on their Instagram or something like that, copy of their paycheck or just, how happy they are with their job, they'll have people actively message them looking for a job. And so you need to really leverage that, but it's not going to happen unless you ask for it. In addition, drive your people to get outside referrals. When you're on the road, when your canvassers are on the road and they meet someone that says they just lost their job, they meet someone that is, let's say, college age or something like that, have them make sure that they ask them every day how many people they brought in today. How many referrals did you bring me today? Now, when going through this, the phone screen process is very important because you want to make sure that, you're sure you're weeding candidates out. This is your chance to vet candidates. But this is a real quick vetting process. This does not need to be an intense vetting process. Your job is to get their information and get them in for the interview. I think a lot of the mistake that people make is they spend a lot of time on the phone on work experience and things like that. When you're trying to hire an entry-level candidate, if that's what you're trying to hire like we do, you don't need to spend a ton of time on that. You need to know that they're committed in a couple different ways, and that's it. And that would be, can they get to work? Can they get to work on time? Can maybe they do the hours? And are they okay with people? Can they hold up a conversation? Those are the three things that we're looking for, really. And then we're looking to get them in for an interview to vet them better. Now, one of the things that I think, and then in the interview process, all these other things will come up. So in the interview process, sure, you're going to want to make sure that you've tightened everything up, and you're going to want to make sure that you have everybody, that they have the right experience, which to me is anything dealing with people. That they have the right motivations and drive, which is probably the most important thing we look for, which we'll go over in a second. And you want to make sure the right people are doing the interviews. Follow-up is important. Now, there's another option for you too. If you don't have the time or expertise to do this, this is what I highly suggest. Gerald Lamming from corporate has a team of recruiters that specialize in doing exactly this. Okay, so for a low cost, you can talk with Gerald, and he'll be speaking later. He'll be able to get you all of the recruits that you need. We just started working with him on some projects ourselves. Now, what do we look for? When a candidate comes in, we don't look for experience. We don't have more than one or two canvassers in the room with any canvassing experience at all. Most canvassers here have nothing. They've done nothing like this before. Most of them have only done labor jobs. But motivation beats out experience every time. We're looking for people that want to do the job. And the why is very important. We want people that are adaptable, people that can make changes. And we want people that are culture creators. We want people that are hungry. So growth is one of the most important things we go through. Because to me, I think we'd all agree here that when somebody wants to genuinely grow, when somebody wants to make themselves better, they're going to be at their best. That's when they're going to be at their top performance. And we promote that growth by having a very strong, talk in the interview process about that growth. We try to identify what people want to do pretty close to right away. So we get an idea in their head and we build on that idea. So if they want to go into sales and make, $250,000 a year, then we drive that into their head in the interview process, and then we continue that process throughout. Now we have different we have a system for this. We have a way of growing people, and I'm going to go through that in a little bit here. We have a way of growing people in this company. I'm going to go through an example in a bit, but I'll tell you that a team lead we should be able to identify in 2 to 3 months typically. Okay, and we'll probably sales representatives, I'd say 8 to 10 months. Now, when you're pitching the dream, I think and this is kind of a weird thing to say, but the most important thing to do is to be honest about the pitfalls. Make sure that you're communicating to the canvassers, to the new people, what the difficulties are of the job. There's nothing worse than getting somebody into the job and then realizing a week in, they don't want to do it. They had no idea what they were going to be doing. And we've all been through this before, I think. And sure, reality is going to hit some of these people very quickly. They had no idea. But you want to be as honest as possible about the job. So one of the things that we go through in the interview is we go through the dangers, the difficulties, right? You're going to deal with customers. You're going to deal with rejection. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun some days. You know, there's a lot of great benefits, but it's a hustle. You have to be willing to go out and do it. We show them what they can be, though. We show them how the process works and what they are at the end of the day. And then we simplify the pay structure. You know, this is your hourly pay. This is your basic level commission. This is commission. This is your commission. This is what you should expect to make on any given week. Okay. By the way, too, this is okay. This is the slide. The reason why there's a thing to write here is because I have these booklets that we made for people. So they're made a little bit weird. I don't like how they did this last page here, but it's not bad. Okay. They bang those out in like 2 hours, which is great. All right, so promoting growth, you got to have a system for this. This is something you'll hear this in interviews. One of the biggest complaints that we get in the interview process about other companies is that there was no path to growth. They didn't believe them about the growth. They saw people say they saw themselves getting cut off from growth. They didn't feel like the growth process was honest. All of these things. Okay, so you want to speak about it in the interview process and set predetermined one-on-ones. Explain to that person, hey, after 4 months, you know, we're going to have a conversation, and at that point, we'll decide what path is best for you, you know, for growth. So, for example, I might sit down with a canvasser 4 months in, and you know, there's kind of 4 or 5 options for them. Do you want to go into sales? Do you want to go into management within our department? Do you want to go into install? Are there any other positions available for this person? You know, we've had people move into the assistant events management position. We've even had people move into the call center and become leaders in the call center. So canvassing really can you know, spread throughout the entire company. And then you got to carve out the path. How do you get that person to where they need to go? So, for example, with sales, we start off with ride-alongs. Okay, after a couple months of doing a couple ride-alongs a month, when they have an understanding for the job, we get them a little bit in the train, you know, inside of the meetings and training. So we'll have them go to 2 sales meetings in a month, something like that. At that point, if they're still doing a great job, then they'll interview for sales, and we'll help them grow to that position. So it's an 8 to 12 month process, and it's a very specific process as well, with specific goals to achieve. Okay. Now, growing our teams is important. I mean, it's not. This is how we have effectively got. I want you to think about this for a second. Okay. In 2020, we lost everything. We kept a couple core people. That's it. And we weren't doing canvassing. You know, most of our guys had canvas for a brief period of time. You know, if at all. And so we built up this small group of people that by the end of it was probably about 10 people. Coming into canvassing again, we were able to make managers of those people, and we were able to grow with the company. So, you know, you want people to have experiences in your company to make them a team lead. You don't just want to take somebody that has management experience and just throw them into the role. They have to understand what it is that you do at your company. They have to be culture creators. They have to have a great positive atmosphere. They have to bring energy to the room. Obviously, production standards are important, but you don't need this person to be the top producer. There's different personality types out there, right? If I'm in sales and I'm always selling at 35%, I'm never going above that. I'm never going below that. I'm always at 30 to, let's say, 35%. Then I'm still going to be a pretty great place as far as sales go, right? I'm sustainable. Let's say that I go out there and I close at 70%, then 20%, then 70%, then 20%. You know, sure, that's a way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Not the right way. But there's different personality types out there. And so we create a production standard that's reasonable, and then we make people hit that production standard. So for sales, for example, it's 250 issue leads before they move into sales. Now, when a team lead, you know, gets started, okay, in the team lead process, it's a little bit easier to grow a team lead you know, I should say to trust a team lead because they're within your department. So you can do the training from inside of your department, right? But there should be an interview process there. There should be a conversation, and there should be training provided. You can't just throw somebody into the role. We've done that before. It doesn't work out. And you need to create benchmarks. You know, hey, look, you're expected as a team to grow this month by 3 employees. Get yourself 3 employees this month, okay? And you're expected to produce, you know, X amount of demos, 15 demos per week, 20 demos per week, whatever it is, depending on the amount of canvassers. You have to have a benchmark that's expected. And you got to be able to work with managers if they don't hit those benchmarks. Now, a big part of this, we talked about getting the right people, but retaining the right people is extremely important. So one of the things that I think, every canvassing department struggles with, right, is retention rate. And it's obvious why. There's three pillars. When we talk about this in the wintertime, especially, we talk about three kind of pillars. And you need to have two of those three things to work out, right? So the weather, the environment, the things that you can't control, that's one thing. Okay, the pay is a second thing. And then the third thing is the people that you're around. If you can create success in two of those three areas, typically you'll see a lot of sustainability. If you can create success in all three areas, you'll see a lot of growth. Okay, so you'll notice this. So in the spring, for example, the weather is great, the environment's great, fantastic, it's absolutely beautiful out. The people are great, excellent. You're making money because leads are being written. Three of those pillars are full, and you're able to fill up your teams. You're able to start, 5, 6, 7, 8 people a week. Now come to the wintertime, it's fine. Wintertime's fine. If you have the right people, what you have to expect is sustainability. You notice in our numbers that we issued 740 leads in November, and in December we issued 745. That's consistency. That's because we have the right people. Okay, the positive team culture, the clarity and consistency. We make our goals very, very clear to everybody. Everybody knows exactly what we're going for. Everybody looks and enabled and knows their leads, or at least has the ability to do it. And so the goals are very consistent and they're very clear. And you want these goals to promote advancement. So whatever goal the company gives me, I start off at 130% of that goal, 130%. So if the company says to me, hey, listen, you need to issue 500 leads, then I'm going to issue a lot more than 500 leads. We're going to issue well over 600 leads at that point. That's what we're going for. It's attainable, but it's not easy. It's meant to promote growth for individuals in the department. The growth pattern we talked about, but it has to be honest. You have to stick with it, and don't be afraid to be reminded. Ask your canvassers, especially if you're real busy. Hey, listen, yeah, sure, we're going to have a conversation in a couple months here. Just remind me if you want to have a conversation before then. And the reason why this is so important is because you'll lose good people just because they don't see the immediate growth. But if you give people tasks and they feel like they're moving in the right direction, that's a different story. So you want to be able to do that for the people in your group. Congratulate often, but handle problems immediately. One of the things you don't want to do is let these things build up. If you have a bad cancellation rate issue, then deal with it. If you have inappropriate behavior in the van, deal with it right away. You can't have that fester because something really bad will happen. When you have this many people in one room, in one van, very close quarters, some of which clearly probably aren't each other's people. Okay, it becomes really difficult. Okay, all right, sounds good. All right, I'll take care of it. Just send me the information.
I already have everything up, so I can go over there.
No, it's fine because I don't want to use my debit card. I want to use my my wife's debit. So just because
That's fine.
we only use one for our bills. So let me do this. Hold on one second. How much is it?
Should be 523.96.
That's it.
Yep, round trip.
Okay. Let me just write this. I'm just gonna have her transfer the money. Because the card that I use, because the amount of money I spend, will give me a limit. This is probably the best idea.
Yeah, probably did.
It's 17055.
And then your address, 420. Fairview, or Fairway,
420 Fairway Drive, yeah.
Fairway.
Fairway Drive, yeah, one word.
That's in Mechanicsburg.
Yep, 17055. Okay. All right, guys, sorry. I'm trying to get this flight booked. I want the seats to fill up. It's first class, right? I'm just kidding.
Is that Visa?
Yeah. Okay, all right. Flights booked. All good. Do you need any more information?
I sent it to your work email.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. All right, so having an achievable growth pattern is important. So when you're starting a canvassing department, you want to retain people. You can't. The one thing you can't do, you can't bullshit. You can't lie. I can't say bullshit. This is my fear, is that I say bullshit or something like that. Luckily, this is why, like, when I get passionate, like these, I should have put these slides first because it's a fun slides. The fun slides should go first because I get more passionate about it. You know what I'm saying? I also have more Red Bull in my system now than I had before too. So, all right. So you want to be honest about your growth pattern. If you bring people in and you just BS them, you just lie to them and you tell, oh yeah, you can grow, and you're not specific, it's not going to last for very long. It's just not something that's going to last for very long. Communicating problems, okay, that's the one I was actually communicating problems immediately is extremely important in a job like this because you're not going to, people won't last. Okay. So here's the thing, when you look at the emotional turmoil, okay, and we know this, right? But if I'm talking to people that are in this room, if you look at the emotional turmoil, what happens when you go out there and you set a bunch of leads and you feel like you're going to make a bunch of money and then you don't, it doesn't feel good. People don't feel good about that. And so that's something that can deflate somebody so quickly. And when you think about those pillars, the money-making portion, being able to pay your bills and being able to take care of yourself is a big part of this. If it doesn't feel real, the environment sinks real quick. And this is where, this is where things all connect. I mean, you've got to rely on your team leads to send the right message, to do the right thing, to get people to perform the right way. This is important. The way that this is done is important. Have a training program that allows for continued learning. You can't stop right at the initial training. You just can't. So, what we do for our training, we have our scripting system. We're going to go through the specifics on that, but we layer in our training. So we believe that, that there's a certain amount when somebody's never done a job like this before, there's only a certain amount of information they can understand and they can get. And there's a certain amount of information everybody can understand and get. And there's a certain amount that most people can, I'd say, if they're open to it. You have to be visible all the time. One of the biggest struggles, and I'm going to put this training information up here to the form that we created. But one of the biggest struggles that you have as you grow in your career is being available and feeling like you're not available. Everything happens. You lose a little bit of control, and it's a positive thing, but it doesn't feel like a positive thing when it's happening. And it's a scary thing. You feel like you're losing your job. You feel like you're not good at it anymore. Now, that being said, that's not what I mean by this. And when I'm talking to you people that are starting a department that have not been doing this for a long time, you need to be out there on the road. For 7 years, I was on the road almost every single day for 7 years. If you have a manager that's not willing to do that, that's not willing to do whatever, then they're not the right person. And this is not Wolf of Wall Street. Culture is so important in an office. I hate the movie Wolf of Wall Street. I despise it. I've always hated it. I watched it once. I'll never watch it again. It's trash to me. It's not that it's poorly done. It's not that Leonardo DiCaprio is not cute. And I will say that too. That's like my line now because it's another call. It's not that Leonardo DiCaprio is not cute. The point of it is that you can't create an environment that toxic and succeed at anything. When you look at what these people have done and gone through, sure, Jordan Belfort's rich, right? I mean, I'm sure that he made a ton of money off this movie and all this stuff. Yeah, absolutely, of course. He's the exception, okay? But when you look at the rule, when you look at the real thing, okay, people don't. He went to jail, and most of those people would just go to jail or die of a drug overdose. I mean, people are not happy that do things like they did. Torture other employees and coworkers, create a very, sexually charged work environment. It's not good. None of it's good. But I remember when that movie came out, it ruined marketing and sales for a while because people felt like that's the way they should act. It's just not. We're past that. So if I'm starting a canvassing department tomorrow, the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to try to hire a manager first. But there's always going to be, what I can do, and we'll go through that in a minute. But I'm going to try to hire a manager first. And when I hire a manager, my first question to that manager is, how often are you willing to be on the road? Do you understand that you may have to be on the road 6 days a week? That's something that you might have to do for a while. Right? I'm going to make sure that they're perfectly comfortable with that before I ever let them step foot into my office, onto my team. And they have to do all the on-the-road training. They have to go out and do the job before they do anything else. Don't send them to another office to learn. Don't send them to some, Yoho seminar, nothing. They need to be on the road writing leads before you send them to do anything. They shouldn't exist. They should not exist in the company until they write leads. They have to understand that they work for the team. Their job is very, very based on the team's success. And so they have to work for their team. And you have to be able to trust this person, but make sure you're looking into it, because when you're hiring people for a job like this, there's so much independence. It's very easy. I mean, I could go through all these horror stories. I'm not going to. But we've all seen them. I can go through a couple for you guys. I'll give you an example or two. Guy down in Baltimore, I know him. He was working with corporate, and he's actually dating my ex-girlfriend. He was. And he moved down there from Boston. And he did well for, I don't know, probably a year. Then all of a sudden he started acting kind of weird. Didn't know what was going on with him. Found out that he was going to get messed up. He wasn't building a team. He had stolen money from the company. Guy for a different company, for example, was buying cigarettes with the gas card every day. So stuff like that. He found a store that would sell him cigarettes using the gas card, and he was doing it every day. I mean, I could go through much worse stories than that, by the way. Much worse than that. Those are the rated G ones. G, right? G said rating?
Yeah.
Okay. Be committed to investing. Okay. So you gotta be able to invest in your department. It's going to take money. It's going to take time. You can't just be all in for 2 weeks and then be done with it. But you have to have a clear objective. You have to have a goal, and you have to know how you're getting there. This department, more than anything, it's not direct mail. You can't just throw money at it and let it go. You have to be involved. If the owner has to come in and manage the manager himself, then have it be done. It's worth the investment, but it's an investment. If you can't, let's say, for example, you can't find the right manager, start with canvassers first. Hire 7 people to canvass, have them go through a training program like mine or something like that. Get a hold of somebody like myself, or I'm sure there's plenty of people out there in the country that would help with this. Have us train them as a canvasser. Have them sit through a canvassing program. Have them go canvass for you, and have them prove that they are a leader. Oh, trust me, you send them to my training class, then every single day, or Andrew's training class, every single day we'll tell them, if you want to manage in this company, here are the benefits, here's what you have to do. So it's great, by the way, too. Well, that's a side note, I'll tell you. So points of failure, you have to understand where you can fail at this. It's usually the leader. Okay. And I can speak for myself with this too. If I'm having a bad week, the team has a worse week. And it's not because the team is so dependent on me. No, if I wasn't there for a week, the team would be fine. If I wasn't there for a week, the team would be fine. But if I'm coming in like all pissy and whatnot every day, then the team is going to reflect my attitude. The team lead is even more important than that. So if your team lead's going through something emotional at home or whatever, and you're not there for that person, or they're putting themselves through the ringer or whatever, then it's going to show up. You're going to see it. It's going to be a huge point of failure. And the canvassers are going to notice it before you do. And you got to question, is your system working? The amount of terrible scripting I've seen out there is insane. It's insane, including, by the way, what we started with. When I started with this company, it was, you didn't let the customer talk for 15 minutes. You just rammed it down their throat. There was no words that came from the customer's mouth. And so the leads that we wrote were very low quality leads. Our sales were very low. It was not a highly productive department. Now, what makes us different in CPA, it's all me. I'm just kidding. It says we hire people that are committed to creating a career for themselves. So there's the difference is that, yeah, sure, we'll hire a college student that is having trouble or just looking to pay for bills or whatever. But that's not what we build our core on. We build our core on leaders that want to grow at the company. Our canvassers all see the bigger picture. We share this with them. They know what we're looking for every year. They know what we're looking for, therefore, every month, every day. They know what we're looking for. And we train our canvassers to, like I said, to go through the basics first, learn the scripting, learn the rebuttals. We train them in a way that makes sense. Then after they have that stuff down, we train them on customer interaction. We train them on how to adapt based on what the customer says. We train them not to use the rebuttals. You don't have to use them, don't use them. Okay. Every leader with our organization has read, hopefully, the book 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell. You have to be able to understand where you're at with each person on your team. It's very important. I should bring a copy with me of that, by the way, too. I'm going to bring this as a prop. No one is above doing the job. Be proud of your title. You most importantly, you're be proud that you're going in door to door. You can't, it's stupid not to be proud of it. And here's the reason why. Door to door has changed my life foundationally. Okay. I remember back in the day, right when I started 14 years ago, I was at a dinner with my aunt, and she said to me, "What are you doing for work?" And I told her, and she said, "Why don't you get a real effing job?" That's what she said. And it affected me. It hit me. And I don't know why. I don't appreciate her. I never did. I'm not a fan. Okay. But it did affect me. And the reason why it affected me, I think, was because it questioned it was at my core, right? But your job is one of those things that should be sacred to you. It's a good place, sacred to you, important to you, right? That's how you feed your family. That's how you enjoy your time. This is how you go to work and you deal with friends. So I had that questioned, and it got in my head for a minute. Then I looked at the fact that she's worked at a retirement home, a nursing home, for the last however many years, and she's watched people close to her pass away, like in front of her, okay, which I know happens, but to a different level. And God bless her. I mean, the fact that she can deal with that is amazing. I would not want that job for a tenth of what you can make in canvassing. I just wouldn't want to do it. Our canvassers make more than she does now, right when they start, and so you should be proud of your title. This door-to-door is foundational to what we do. It's the most foundational department in the company. Try running a company like this long-term without door-to-door and see how much growth you experience. A lot of you have. It doesn't make sense to do. So be proud of your title. Now, how we lay our training in. We have our first week is our basic training. So our trainer goes through the script and rebuttals. Okay. We teach people, this is word for word. People ask the question, do I have to learn this word for word? We tell them that's the wrong question. The right question is, do I have to do this word for word? The customer is going to dictate that. So we go through the script and rebuttals first. We make them learn that. We go through window knowledge and basic personal connections, right? There's some other stuff in there too, sure. History of Anderson, stuff like that. But this is the main thing that they're going to use when they're on the road. Then we have them go with the team lead, and they're out with the team lead for a week. Then they're on their own for a couple weeks. Then we bring them back in to go through advanced training, which I would consider somewhere between emotional intelligence and understanding the customer, controlling the conversation. So the first thing we teach them in that training is that rebuttals are not required. If you go through the scripting, it's rare that you have to actually use a rebuttal. The script works for itself. So we knock on the door. Good afternoon. My name is Paul Duffy. I hope you're Mr. Jones. That customer could start off with not interested right there. It doesn't make sense for me to go, well, I didn't expect to catch you on the day you're ready to replace your windows. That does not make any sense. Okay. What would make sense for me to say there is, that's okay, Mr. Jones. I appreciate your time, but how long have you lived in the home? Okay, that's okay, Mr. Jones. I appreciate your time, but I did notice walking up that there was X, Y, or Z. Okay, go directly into the window problems. We teach them that. Let's say that you're in the middle of window problems. The person cuts you off and says, look, I'm not interested right now. It doesn't make sense to say, well, I didn't expect to catch you on the day that you're ready to replace your windows. No, it makes more sense to say, okay, sir, I appreciate the information. Before I go, I wanted to point out X, Y, and Z, and then move on in the script. What time are you taking off? Taking off soon?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're good to go whenever. Just check my interview's good. So,
Not good.
all right, we're good. Controlling the conversation is another part of it too. So, rebuttals, that's part of controlling the conversation. Rebuttals are not required, and that's part of controlling the conversation. The way that you control this conversation, by the way, too, just to give some information on it, is you have to anticipate, for years I was taught that you Travis is re-entering the room. For years, the way that it was taught to me was that you have to be, you can't be anticipating rebuttals. If you're anticipating rebuttals, then you're not doing the right thing, because you're going to worry too much, and it's going to change the way that you do things. It's going to change the way that you perform. Okay, an example of controlling the conversation and adapting for the customer. Okay, so when we ask the question in our scripting, may I make a suggestion? Okay, which I'll pass out to everybody as well. I should do. I'm gonna do that. Pass out the scripting to everybody, even though it would contradict what corporate does. I think I'm saying pass out the scripting. Yeah. So in the part where it says, "May I make a suggestion?" there, you don't get told no. You don't get told no. You get told, yeah, but I'm not interested. Yeah, but I can't afford this, right? Now, a lot of people would feel the need to respond back. Yeah, but I got to do my roof first, with some sort of rebuttal. We just don't. Someone tells me the thing about the roof, I'll say, oh yeah, the roof is definitely more important than the windows. Yeah, I would do the roof first any day of the week. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, before I go, because you plan out the roof, obviously, right? I mean, it just makes sense to plan out the windows too. I'd have somebody come out here, sir. They would just take a look at the windows, see if they can do what needs to be done here, find out what you like. We can't be a service to you, that's fine. We just recommend someone else who can. But if we can help you, blah, 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 blah. Right? We get down to, does that sound helpful? Does that sound helpful? That's where you're gonna get some no's, but you're gonna get more not right nows, can't afford it. But here's the deal: the next part of the script is doing the work for you. So why go into a rebuttal when you don't have to, right? So a customer says, I just don't think now's the right time. We got a lot going on and this and that. Oh, well, I wish you told me that, sir. I appreciate you letting me know now, though. But because you told me that, I'll tell you what, I'll just make it so that the goal of the visit is just to go over your options, answer your questions, and leave you with a quote that's good for a year. So you have a lot of time to think about it. So adapting is important. When a customer flips their attitude on you, you can't just go off off of body language, you're just off voice tone. You have to be measured in your response. That's it. Okay. There's another slide or two in there, but that's it. So feedback from you guys, please.
Yeah, that was great. I wish I could be there for it when you go down there.
I understand. If there was more content than in general, let me get this part off YouTube. Hold on one second.